Okay, I'm gonna try to narrate this and actually show people it's not really that hard to play. And I'm gonna try to explain what I'm doing, but I'll probably flop at some point. See, the whole idea here is that you keep turning. So I actually stop thrusting and instead engine kill when I see him on my screen. I'm currently using outer strafe and also missing a lot. And engine kill basically, so there's not much to it. Here I actually reversed the strafe, I think it was down, to actually throw off his aim. When you're fighting people who have lower fire rate, you actually don't need to strafe that much and change strafe. You actually need to try and time the strafe compared to the enemy shots, so they actually miss you and you throw them off. I'm actually just trying to keep turning and not forcing a joust, so I don't really give him a lot of easy shots. Saber is a bit annoying to hit, but it's easy to shoot at least. And now I got the shielded, which is kind of bad. So now I'm gonna play slightly more defensive, at least until I get a shield. Now when I get a shield, I'm gonna go a bit more directly at him. I keep changing the strafe direction, but I mostly use outer strafe to reverse him. And complete agent kill basically, unless I'm actually thrusting, so at most I'm kind of pressing like 3 or 4 buttons. Over here he actually reversed and tried to hit me, but missed, and I reversed as well to actually turn. Now I'm actually going to try and early turn him. And I slightly flopped it, but I think it was good enough. Let's get a single hit, I think. Now over here I actually reversed and used inner strafe. This actually helps you see the target a bit faster, but he also sees you a bit faster. Or I might be completely wrong. Most of this shit is actually gut feeling after a lot of practice. I'll also probably show my weapon loadout after this finishes. The whole key here is to actually keep moving and don't really offer the enemy a lot of chance to actually have easy shots at you. See, I'm missing a lot, but as long as he's missing more than me, it doesn't really matter. Now reverse and box. Basically you're supposed to reverse when he doesn't expect it. This is Kaga, by the way, he's fairly decent, but he said he needs 200 training. So I'm actually helping him out. Oh yeah, the loadout, it's basically 2 588s and 3 303 weapons. It's kind of nice. Probably pick a more orthodox loadout, but this is a pretty old saber. You used to have. See, over here he actually turned a lot faster than me. Over here I turned faster than him. But now I'm basically staying close by not really thrusting. Instead I actually used impulse in reverse to kind of stay close enough. The trick with the reverse is actually when I feel he's getting away from my screen and I can't hit him. Oh yeah. Also, I'm pretty much retarded, so I sometimes confused when I'm supposed to write and talk. this was a good early turn, the one where I hit him. The next one was pretty bad. I think Ibra calls them wide turns, I'm not sure. But I lost my shield, so now I'm gonna play a bit more defensive. Oh yeah, what I did was actually first use just straight to the side. For some reason, it kind of helps me sometimes. I'm not really sure if it helps that much. But it's mostly just to actually turn and not really face your target directly. That's pretty much your bigger goal. Another thing which is pretty useful, especially versus people who don't really shoot all the time and actually dodge it first, is to actually wait for them to stop dodging and start trying to hit you when you actually start hitting them, which kind of really helps. It also saves you a lot of power core. See, over here he's actually doing pretty good turns on me.
Shield failed.
Now I'm shielded. And that was a razor. He actually has a lot better weapon efficiency, so he actually can keep boxing longer than me. And with my loadout, it requires a lot of power cross, so I can't really box that long.
Shield restored. Scanning cargo.
Like, there isn't that much to it. It's mostly just straight into the sign and trying to align yourself compared to the enemy. A good thing for facing Saber is to align in a way that you actually see the bottom of it or the top of it, because it's easier to hit, but you don't necessarily have to do it. And here I got pounded hard. Another trick I sometimes use is when I'm thrusting, I then just stop thrusting and just change straight direction, which drastically changes my speed. I think somewhere around to 120 meters.
Shield failed.
So it offsets his aim a bit, but and now I'm getting hit hard because I lost my concentration, I think. Or he actually got better at it, which is entirely possible.
Shield restored. Shield failed.
I'm actually lose this round to him. I'm gonna blame it on Rax, which is the guy over here.
Shield failed. Shield restored.
Oh, he's actually doing commentary on the fight. See what this is. And he died.
Shield failed. Incoming missile.
Okay, now I'm gonna go
Shield
cancel on him.
restored.
He's using.
Incoming missile. Incoming missile.
He's actually using a pretty bad loadout, because that was my anti-cap ship before I gave it to him. Of course he can just do that, see? I mean, it's a valid tactic.
Incoming missile.
By the way, they actually work at killing people, but you gotta get really close to them before you do it.
Incoming missile.
I've actually gotten kills with Hellfires, but it's complete luck. It's not really related to actual skill, it's just get as close as you can and just pound them.
Incoming missile. Incoming missile.
This is, by the way, a good way to fight bombers, is just to slide to the side and engine kill so their weapons are at a disadvantage.
Incoming missile. Incoming missile. Track failure. Track failure.
And this is kind of the reason why some people don't like Sidewinders. Basically, I don't even have to put effort there to hit them. You just press it, and unless the other guy is really lucky with the countermeasures, it's almost a guaranteed hit, because the missile is way too fast. I'm actually gonna try a play a bit differently now versus Gaga. I won't slide that much, instead I'm gonna curly turn a lot more. Use reverse. So his style, see the way he actually twists to the side, forces a lot similar thing to me. 'Cause see, they're here reversed when I reversed, and he fucked me up, but I was looking out that he didn't hit me. Because he actually had view of me when I didn't see him. Because I was hoping he'd be there. There we go, that tap to the reverse when the early turning paid off. I actually scored some hits. I usually try to do that when the enemy doesn't have shield, because the shield is easier to hit. So just fly normally and not risky when the shooting, and when you shoot him, and hopefully you're not the shooter yourself, you do something riskier like that, and then you do that. But basically you're hoping to hit him in his engine kill over there, like this. See, sometimes they're gonna actually try and strafe. That's what I do versus people who already turn me. I do some strafing right when I expect them to actually shoot at me, so they miss. Gaga is kind of doing it as well, but he's doing it sometimes a bit late. So I actually managed to score a hit. Or I actually score a hit this regular way. This is another thing I do usually, but mostly versus... Oh fuck, I gotta shoot it. Something I usually do, but more versus Vasko, is actually do this kind of turns. Just outer strafe and thrust a bit, but not that much. It's usually to keep him away from my ass, because he tries to early turn a lot, but versus Gaga in his style, this is kind of bad, because he actually reverses and tries to get behind me better. A lot of the aiming is actually not even probably that much reflex as much as muscle memory. I just kind of point at the X. Most of the time that I actually think where I'm aiming is when we are further away, so I actually aim a tiny bit in front of the target. But when we get close enough, it's kind of like almost a reflex by now for me. I just shoot. There's a thing though which I'm not that good at, is where the enemy is close enough but also near the edge of your screen, and when you shoot like that, especially when having fast enough fire and trails, you can kind of guess where you're supposed to shoot. I think people call it blind fire, and that's where you actually hit people without really aiming at them. The whole idea is that you're actually turning a lot more than you would if you were pointing at the cross, but you're still landing some hits at least. When I'm going exactly against him, I'm actually using different strafes, but when I'm just engine killing to the side and using short strafes, I'm using way less strafes. Like, I just press the outer strafe, engine kill, then when I see he's about to shoot me or feel like he's gonna hit me, I do another outer strafe first. This is enough, usually when you are to the side of your target. But you shouldn't actually engine kill if you're right in front of your target like this. Over here you actually need to strafe a lot more to dodge. That's a nice hit there, another okay hit. See, over here he's trying to keep early turning me. So I actually reverse, change directions twice. This is a good way to actually throw him off. See, here he sensed my early turn, so he actually reversed as well. He had some shots, and here he actually shooted me. He kind of reverses there, trying to get a hit.
Shield restored. Shield failed.
See, over here I actually boxed, even though I knew I could be hit because I had the shield advantage. You should try to be more defensive when you lost the shield and less defensive, and trying to hit more when the enemy has no shield and you have a shield. Should be kind of obvious though. Also, another thing you'll probably learn if you play enough fighter PvP. Oh, see, here he's just reversing me, getting hits. It's just fucking annoying.
Shield restored. Shield failed. Shield restored. Shield failed. Shield restored. Shield failed.
So here I kind of fucked up. I actually tried to experiment a bit.
Shield restored. Shield failed. Shield restored. Shield failed. Shield restored.
Ah, there we go. That was actually a tougher fight. This is pretty much the weapon groups I use. This one is actually more for group fights. Have two debilitators and one cleanser, which is the 303 weapon. For hole busters, it's just all hole busters, and then there's all weapons for duos. See, that's the thing. You reverse when you want to bring the guy closer to the middle of your screen.
Shield failed. Shield restored. Shield failed.
See, now he's actually trying to early turn me a lot.
Shield restored.
Now we run like idiots. A lot of my shooting is actually looking where the projectiles go and where the target is. So I can't deny that I still kind of use the crosshair as reference. See, over here he actually strafed, I believe, so I missed most of my shots. And here he early turned me. That was a bad avoid. Actually, probably if I didn't see his early turning here, this is what you do when you early turn. You reverse with inner strafe, and then you thrust out with outer strafe.
Shield failed.
And if this doesn't work, you actually change directions where you cut off like that. There we go.
Shield restored.
See, the thing I do when someone gets behind me is just turn a bit, then reverse and inner strafe, so I actually get to almost see him. Then I outer strafe and thrust, so I actually pull some distance out of him. Sometimes it doesn't work if they're actually anticipating you trying to shake them off, so you actually have to do it again. Sometimes you gotta do it twice. Sometimes change the direction helps because it throws them off. So if you feel like you're being chased too far back, just change some direction sporadically a bit, and you might shake them off. Here's another thing I do is I... Oh, hi there, Shiki. I actually still don't really know which strafe is better. It's mostly gut feeling for me.
Shield fail.
I sometimes change it depending how either works. Like if outer strafe don't work, sometimes try inner strafe. Basically, outer is when you're strafing away like this, and inner is like when you're strafing towards the target. Sometimes I also do up and down strafe. Some weird reason people sometimes can't hit me when I down strafe. See, here he's actually early turned me and tried to stay behind me. So what I did was twist with reverse, twist with reverse. Thing is, if he's actually trying to hit you, he has to point a bit more to the center of the screen, where you usually are. So he's actually turning less when he does that. Unless he executes something completely perfect, in which case he's both shooting at you and turning at nearly max speed. And here I kind of fucked up. His loadout is mostly 200. I think it's coupled with one... Actually, I should scan him after this fight.
Shield restored. Shield fail.
Unless I die. Which is kind of entirely possible. Here. Or not.
Shield restored.
I think he mostly has 200 weapons, 650 meters per second.
Scanning. Cargo.
Yeah, and one defiler. So he has one shield buster. The rest of the codename slots are 200 weapons. And for the rest of the slots he actually has worms, which are 303. He's basically going one big debilitator and the rest is busters, which is smaller fire. Meanwhile, I'm using more standard loadout. It's 2 debilitators, rest are busters. See, now he's right behind me. So actually knowing which way I'd usually turn, I turned the opposite way. So any preparation he did to stay behind me is completely fucked up because he's on the wrong side of the screen. Another good hit with the...
Shield fail. Shield restored. Shield fail. Shield restored. Shield fail. Shield restored.
See, now I'm actually using a lot more up and down strafes, which I think are kind of working at the moment. Throwing him off a bit.
Shield fail.
Or not.
Shield restored. Shield fail.
See, that was a bad idea. I had no shield and I charged directly at him.
Shield
He
fail.
actually has better hole busters than me. So one hit of his is gonna fuck me up a lot more if it's a direct hit than hit of mine. Because I actually have faster fires, mostly.
Shield restored. Shield fail.
My advantage is which is actually keeping him away from me. Like to the side, because I can just spray. Meanwhile, his weapons isn't that good at
Shield
spraying.
restored.
Because he has to wait a lot longer to actually adjust his aim compared to where the projectile is going.
Shield fail.
That's another thing that I've noticed actually works sometimes. Like just when you're about to see them, and if when you shoot them and they're actually shooting you for some reason, they usually don't dodge as much because they're not expecting it. So usually you can get some good damage there.
Scanning. Cargo.
I'm actually both using champion shield, so there isn't that much. I think he's actually better because he's using codename weapons, so he's not suffering a penalty. Well, actually, I'm not entirely sure if codenames weren't made 90% shield damage for all types, just like the neutral weapon. Either way, because we have a debilitator, it's not that hard to actually do it. As in, they shoot the other person.
Shield restored.
So over here, we're both kind of doing a bit of twist and then reverse to try and get a hit. He's boxing me there. I'm a bit bad at early turning or actually out-turning the opponent, so I actually don't do that much attempts to out-turn someone who's just boxing. I pretty much meet him head-on while also dodging a bit. Usually what I do in a real fight, if we're actually using your guns and shit, is drop a mine right when we are about to meet, when he's boxing me.
Shield restored. Shield failed.
See, that there was a good hit. That there was also a good hit. I wouldn't say I did anything that much better. It's mostly just
Restored. Shield failed.
getting lucky.
Shield restored.
So here, there, I kind of reacted badly. I kind of put the mouse in the wrong direction. Another tip I could kind of give is when you see them box, I usually don't try to follow the crosshair. I am at the center where they usually meet when they keep boxing. And that quite often actually manages to score me enough hits. Because when they box like this and they change direction way too fast, they're usually mostly staying at the same place. Even though they're actually offsetting your crosshair like this. That's another thing you can do when you want to keep away, is actually twist a bit away while you're still far away from each other but seeing the enemy. So you actually keep yourself at a distance. You shouldn't obviously do it when you're not seeing him. You do it after you see him, and if he's far enough to not be able to shoot you.
Shield fail. Shield restored. Shield fail.
Another thing I sometimes do, I'm gonna show it now, is after I pass the target, I keep thrusting a bit to the sides. It usually helps with people who try to stay on your ass a lot, because you pull a bit more distance. Or you can fuck it up like that. I actually got hit there.
Shield restored. Shield fail.
The last few thrusts were actually without even strafing, it was just moving. Usually if you're flying in a curve while applying movement like twisting or impulse or anything, the crosshair isn't accurate enough. Because by the time the projectile is gonna get to you, you're completely different from where it's supposed to be. The crosshair shows the current vector, as in if you're currently moving like there and you don't change, it's gonna show correct. But if you keep turning, your crosshair is gonna keep moving. And since weapons are instantaneous, it's not gonna be correct. Which is why usually you don't really aim at the crosshair unless you're meeting someone head on.
Shield fail.
Oh, that was a mistake there. Should have strafed sooner. There, I got him.
Shield restored.
Here's another thing you can do when you approach him. You do like this. Basically the idea is get some distance and then you do this. And then when you're close enough, you actually stop spinning in circle and actually keep it there so you turn. This kind of gives you a bit of an early turn. That thing I actually saw from a video from Iber, or whatever it's supposed to be pronounced. The idea is you're harder to hit because you're spinning in a spiral, which is probably the most annoying thing to hit in Freelancer. And at the same time you actually get some edge of turning a bit before your opponent because you're already at the edge of the screen and slightly turning inwards. He uses it better than me because he actually then keeps staying behind the target, something I can't really do that much. My flight style is really a lot more about thrusts and dodging the enemy rather than out-turning the enemy, which you can obviously see. Gaga usually turns slightly faster than me unless I'm only turning him.
Shield fail.
So Gaga's style is also a bit about twisting it. aiming, which is kind of why I enjoy fighting him.
Shield restored.
Our styles are similar enough, because first when I fight Wesker,
Shield failed.
he actually changed his style last time I fought him. He was mostly about boxing, but before that he was a lot about early turning and out-turning the enemy, which was kind of really annoying for my style, because I just had to keep
Shield failed.
doing this, reverse and outer strafe, so I can actually escape him, because he's right behind me. And that thing is quite annoying. I think it's early turn probably one of my biggest enemy on Discovery, in the sense that it's a style I find most effort I have to put to face them. Though there are also people who can beat me without doing that. For instance, Taihan, whatever this is supposed to be pronounced, actually just beats me by being better at aiming. Should probably check his videos as well. He's actually really good. Though in the end, it's a lot. See, over here he actually early turned me, but he missed. And also we have the docking protection, which is completely annoying. So as I was saying, a lot of people have their own style. You should probably try to experiment. This is how I got fairly good after my last long hiatus. I just kept experimenting, different strafes, using impulse speed, using no engine kill, shit like that.
Shield failed.
Until I kind of developed my own feel for things. I faced people who I had big difficulty beating, like Wesker. I used to have a really big difficulty beating him,
Restored.
because he kept early turning me, and I had big trouble facing that.
Failed.
And he usually flew a faster ship. He flew the Odin. Well, I was flying a Saber, and the Odin is like I think 2 or 3 degrees faster in turning.
Shield
And he kept abusing that versus me. So I had a lot of trouble, but eventually I learned what to do.
Shield failed.
Which a lot of times he says was just doing this 2-tap outer thrust, like you thrust outwards, then you drop a bit, then you do it again. The sense is that you actually keep your target to the side so he can get close enough to early turn properly.
Shield restored.
That was dangerous on my side, but it paid off. I actually didn't have a shield there when I did it. Another thing I found to work for me is that the longer I engine kill, the less I can feel them behind me. Like once upon a time I used to do it, like start thrusting right over here when they're behind me, which meant they kept staying behind me. Look at that, I'm stuttering now. I'm trying to focus, and he's actually keeping the pressure up. So as I was saying, instead of actually waiting a bit, I started almost instantly thrusting, which means I did a really wide turn. So if someone just reversed and tried to see me, he's gonna see me flying away like this, away. And they just got behind me. So a lot of times it's about feeling when the enemy is supposed to be behind you and shooting, like anticipating his first shot, and trying to engine kill as long as possible without getting hit. Of course, there's a lot of gut feeling. I can't really explain it. Like a huge part of PvP in Freelancer is practice.
Shield failed.
Here's another thing I do. Sometimes I thrust not towards the target, but at I think 45 to 90 degrees in a different direction, like this. And then I let go, which kind of fucks them up because they're spinning in a circle,
Shield
and you're
failed.
suddenly going in a different direction where they're anticipating you, which kind of helps.
Shield restored.
Again, it's all about style, your own style, things
Shield failed.
that you feel work. I say I have my own style. It's mostly this kind of flying with a lot of twisting and strafes to throw off the opponent.
Shield restored.
And the other thing is
Shield
boxing
failed.
in reverse. I usually use what works better against the opponent. The reverse works better versus people who early turn a lot.
Shield restored.
Flying to the side works better versus people who aim pretty nicely. Here, return here again.
Shield failed.
Ah, he hit me pretty good. Now he has actually have a bit of lag.
Shield
Kinda makes it annoying.
restored.
Probably for the both of us. Guess I score a hit like that. Usually when you suddenly change your style, it kind of bugs the opponent a lot. Because after a few turns you anticipate what the enemy is doing. And if you manage to throw them off, like for instance when they're expecting you to just run out of thrusters, reverse and gun them down, you're really gonna catch them off guard a lot.
Scanning. Cargo.
Actually don't know what else to actually add to this as commentary. When I first had the idea to actually make this video, I wanted to completely say where I'm twisting, strafing and everything, completely detailed, but I realized that I'm mashing keys sometimes a bit faster than I can speak. It's not really that fast, I'd say, especially when I'm not boxing or going directly at the enemy. But it's definitely way too fast for me to actually speak. See, over here we're actually doing something more of a jousting style.
Shield failed.
Now since we brought the shielded, I'm actually gonna... Oh, never mind, I actually got hits. I'll play a tiny bit more defensively.
Shield restored. Shield failed.
Or try to at least. This is the anchor turn. Basically you top the reverse
Shield restored.
right before strafing. The idea is to cancel a lot of your speed before you actually start thrusting. See, like this. I don't even use strafes when I do it. But you probably could. Inner strafes to move closer to the target, outer strafe to move outwards. A lot of it is, again, gut feeling and seeing what actually works versus the opponent. As you can see, a lot of my hits aren't really something I predicted hit. Probably the only hits I kind of can predict or try to predict are the ones where shouldn't give me his engine kill when I outturn him.
Shield failed.
Now I change my style a bit. I actually press reverse a lot more.
Shield
Like twist, reverse, twist,
Shield
reverse.
failed. Shield restored.
Another thing which is probably a bit scummy because people might regard as a bit of a shield running is trying to slow the fight. Basically just engine killing like that, not going against the enemy when you know you're waiting for your shield or for power core. I haven't actually had someone complain about it yet because it doesn't really feel that much like just shield running because it's not outright shield running like me just running that away.
Shield failed.
But it definitely helps, especially for power core. For ships like the Saber, which has absolutely no power core and 7 gun slots.
Shield restored.
There we go. I'm starting to run out of nanobots. I'm not really sure what else to add, so this is kind of my like maybe goodbye video to Discovery. I already made a thread about it, like every other snowflake. But then I saw this thread about Nom Nom, who was completely complaining about how PvP was impossible without missiles. And I just decided that I should just make a video about it, because, like a goodbye video. Actually, someone else gave me an idea. So there it is. I'm gonna close the recording now, because I'm getting tired and I'm just saying the same shit all over again, because I personally don't put that much theory into the way I fly. It's mostly gut feeling and just seeing what works. Don't be afraid to actually experiment, and remember that in Connecticut dying doesn't mean anything. Probably the best tip I could give is to fight people who are better than you, because then you actually have something to learn. If you're fighting people who could you easily beat, you're probably not going to learn anything, because you're already beating them. You're not actually challenging yourself in any way. Anyways, I'm gonna cut it now. Enough autism for me, and please don't buy me like Shiki.